All right, here we go. Another episode of Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 2. I am pumped here. It is 1 o'clock in the morning for us. We just finished watching it. Went over a couple of notes, but we're ready to start talking about this episode. We've got Max, we've got Joey, and myself, Robbie. We're here to talk about Mandalorian. All right, don't forget, we have changed our brand name. We are the ExStreamists. Max just gave me the look, so I had to actually talk about that really fast. So if anybody's been following us, we've been mostly talking about, obviously, The Last of Us, but we decided we wanted to keep doing this, keep talking about television, because we like media, we like each other, so we decided we wanted to keep going. So we rebranded ourselves as the ExStreamists, and we were talking about more shows like Mandalorian, and other stuff coming up this year. What are we going to hit also, Max?
We're going to do Severance.
Severance, for sure.
We'll bring back Season 1, a great show, and then we'll dive right into Season 2 coming out in the fall.
Yep.
Of course, we'll be doing additional episodes of The Last of Us, post, season finale. We have a couple ideas of some fillers,
right.
And we'll move on from there.
We'll be doing also Ahsokatano. That's going to be happening.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's going to be happening.
Sir.
All right, Max, we got some housekeeping.
Yes, we do. One of the big things with The Last of Us and any show we do is we love interacting with the community, our patrons, people on Twitter. So Bionic Piano Man had a couple of things that I think it's worth bringing up on this episode in terms of housekeeping.
Yep.
First, let's start off with the light stuff. He doesn't think Thrawn will be mentioned, but he doesn't feel like we will see him in this season. What do you guys think?
I'll go first. Actually, before we watched this episode, I had a theory, and then I was talking to you guys about it, which I actually thought the perfect place for Thrawn to be hiding out would have been actually Mandalore.
Good theory, too.
And
I liked that.
After watching this episode, I'm going to pull that back.
Okay.
Because the main places that we've ever seen on Mandalore during,
in the Clone Wars.
In Clone Wars and Rebels, we just saw it. And so I don't think he's hiding on the other side of the planet. It's one thing Star Wars actually does. They only show you a couple cities, maybe one on a planet, and they never kind of show you what's happening on the other side. So I don't think Thrawn's going to be hiding out there. It would have been cool, but I still think we'll see Thrawn at some point. And the reason why is because I think he's the perfect link to all the other shows are going to be launching with ahsokatano and what's the other one? Skeleton Crew. What's it called? Joey?
Yeah, Skeleton Crew.
Yeah, it's the Skeleton Crew. Okay. And then off Boba Fett. I mean, I'm assuming Boba Fett will come back. I mean, I'm hoping it does. And I did see a video. I can't remember who it was. It was either earlier today or yesterday, and a guy had a theory that like he'd be the Thanos, Thrawn could be the Thanos of the Star Wars to kind of bridge these shows together.
Yeah, connect them.
And then if anybody actually watched the Thrawn trilogy, which, Luke Skywalker was actually a main part of that, and he's still floating around in this universe, it'd be a good reason to bring him back. So I think we'll see Thrawn. And Joey also pointed out that they did mention Thrawn in a Mandalorian episode. So it's not like it just comes out of nowhere.
No, he didn't say that they're not going to mention him.
But I think
he thinks they're not going to see him. He believes to tie it to the darksaber and bokatan, it would be more of Sabine that they mention. Or see, because you got to see her before the ahsokatano show. I
think you'll see Sabine, and I think you'll see Thrawn.
I do too.
Yeah, I think those are going to be the big oohs that Favreau's been talking about.
And I don't think we're going to. I think if we see Thrawn, I think he's going to be like season finale. They're going to leave us cliffhanging, waiting for us the Ahsoka show. Because here's the thing: you first hear Ahsoka name drop Thrawn in the Jedi episode, in the Mando, and now in episode 1 of season 3, you see Baby Yoda when they're flying at light speed. Look out and see Purgle's flying alongside of them, which are like the big space whales that operate in hyperspace. And so I feel like all of those things are kind of pointing us to something to do with. Absolutely.
A spoiler really fast for the people that didn't actually watch Rebels. And then if you want to skip 30 seconds right now, go for it. But the reason why that's so important is because those space whales can travel through hyperspace, and they grabbed Thrawn and they grabbed Ezra and took them to the farthest regions of space. And so that's the common link to it. So it's kind of weird that you see them now. Why not introduce Thrawn? If you're going to show that, I think it's kind of a...
And I think it's a good cliffhanger to leave us at the end of season 3 of Mando in anticipation of Ahsoka. I mean, you know, that's what they love to do is leave us with cliffhangers like that. So
yeah. What else is he? Does he have anything else?
No, there's a couple. You know, didn't believe, but we'll touch base. I'll leave the last one as a fun thing. He also agreed that, you know, I think a lot of our listeners agreed that, you know, Djarin is gonna reluctantly give up leadership. You guys have any takes on that after watching?
That Din's gonna reluctantly give up leadership?
Or well, he's gonna give up leadership.
Somehow Bo-Katan's gonna lead
after watching
Mandalorians
episode 2 with a little more. We'll talk about the episode, but
I mean, after seeing her,
she's a badass.
After seeing her handle the Darksaber, I kind of want him to really.
Yeah, and you saw him struggling with it.
It's painful watching him use that thing.
Homie doesn't even want it.
Yeah,
he even said it. I don't want it. He take it, and she didn't want to take it because obviously he has to be won in battle. But it's like, you know, he doesn't want that. That's not what he's trying to do.
No, yeah.
I was wondering if there's a loophole where, like, if she saves him from dying. Does she get it? I mean, she saves him twice in the second.
No, when I saw that on the floor, when I saw that thing fall on the floor, and then she was coming, I was like, "Ooh, what are they going to do here? What's going to happen?"
She could have just left him to die and then go and take it. She has some honor there.
Let's not forget
credit for that.
Let's not forget, it's the story that actually gives her the power. She could just go and say she took it and killed him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then just walk away.
She has honor.
She does have honor. I mean, that's the reason why. I mean, she is a good person, obviously, because she doesn't go after Din Djarin at the end of season 2, and then I feel like, and then she realizes that he's a good person as well, and so that's why she doesn't do certain things to him. She doesn't challenge him. So
maybe they should rule together, love interest style. Ooh. Now here's the other thing.
Man,
like
last
I don't
know if I made sense. It's 1:30 in the morning. Jesus.
Last episode, we kind of speculated that possibly maybe she could be an adversary for this season. But
after seeing her in this episode, I don't think that's going to be the case.
I don't either. I think this even leads more into, as you start bringing all of the troops together, they're all going to be a part of taking down the big baddie, which is Thrawn.
I kind of want to see a conversation between Bo-Katan and the Armorer.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be a great conversation where she starts talking about like their religion and stuff, and like why they're leaving masks on and everything.
Yeah, and Bo's gonna roll her eyes and be like,
I mean, I'm really shocked. I mean, because we haven't broken down this episode yet, but when they actually when they're going down to go to the waters, what are they called again? The
living waters.
The living waters. Yeah. Why she's not having more of a conversation of why he doesn't just like take the mask off? Why he continues to follow this path, even though he knows that there's a whole bunch of other Mandalorians that don't put their masks.
Well, he kind of mentioned
and she was already talking shit too. She was already kind of talking shit about that. Yeah, of the child stories or whatever she was calling it. You know, like she was dogging him.
That's right.
Yeah, and he brought up that the reason we're still surviving across the galaxy is because of the Creed.
Yeah.
So he did kind of bring it up, like why he's doing this, and you know. But
okay, you're right.
Two more housekeeping before we actually get into the episode. Joe, you kind of misspoke or
I did
misremembered.
What did I say?
That Din wasn't raised by the Death Watch.
Ooh, did I say Death Watch?
Did you said Death Watch?
I definitely meant Children of the Watch.
Yeah, that's what Piano Man brought up.
Well,
like that.
Hey, my man's listening up. I like that.
He knows his stuff. He's got to be on the. He's gonna be probably.
No, that must have been my bad. That must have been a 1:30 a.m. slip up.
I think I remember going, wait, who are we talking about? And then you like, because I kind of got a little like off on it a little bit, but yeah, I remember that.
No, that's my bad.
Listen, we all misremember all the time. We're gonna chalk that one up to that. Last little fun speculation thing. He also, I thought this was interesting that he brought this up. He also thinks that one of the big reveals this season is going to be who actually rescued Grogu in Order 66. And I would love to see that. We talked about it briefly.
I have a question on that.
I don't know if we did it online or offline, but that'll be really cool to see.
Do we know that Grogu's actually rescued? Could he have not just been captured right then and there, and he's just been in like, you know?
No, totally.
I mean, does anybody actually say, like, did they actually come out and say that he was rescued?
No.
I don't remember that ever happening.
I don't either.
We just always, like, speculated that's how he got out. Because remember, like, if he got rescued, then that means somebody else captured him from that person. So let's just say, like, the greatest wish ever, Windu survived the fall.
You're back on that, huh?
And then he goes and like rescues him,
fall.
or like some Jedi that we don't like, that we can think of rescues him. At some point, he's gonna lose him again. Like he's gonna lose him. Yeah. So I don't know if we actually thought that he got rescued. Or like
I think that might just be like us, like thinking, oh well, what's gonna happen? It's either he got rescued or clone troopers got him and ended up. Because the thing is, if clone troopers got him, I feel like that means he would have ended up in Palpatine's, in his kind of cloning projects. Because why would you not? And it would be way harder to escape that than it would be to, if he was rescued by somebody and then they died. Like, I feel like it was Jocasta-Nu, which is the librarian.
Right.
Like, I feel like she's the one who, like, safeguarded Baby Yoda. And I think we're going to find out, too. I think he's right. I think that is something we're going to find out in this season. And I'm stoked to find that out. Like, just the little clips that we got of, like, the Order 66 flashback. Dude, that's going to be so cool.
Yeah,
that was so awesome.
Hopefully, it's better than the flashbacks in Obi-Wan Kenobi.
But for now, we'll just say, how did he survive Order 66? Since we don't know if he was captured or saved.
If I'm thinking about it, my theory is while the Jedi are trying to while they're fighting off the clones, maybe Grogu escapes on his own, and then somebody else picks him up. That's bad, like a smuggler or someone else in Coruscant, and then he's basically because, we're assuming that maybe Palpatine already knew that he existed and wanted to like capture him to kind of like get his blood at some point. Is that the kind of the theory right now? Out of all the Jedi, that's the one you kind of went after? Because,
I don't know if it's like that's what he went after. I don't know. I feel like my theory is going to be that Jocasta-Nu like saved him, but I think it's already canon from a comic book because that Vader kills her. I'm pretty darn sure that that's canon. And so if she died and she had hidden him somewhere in the Jedi Temple, maybe then he escaped and then maybe someone caught him in the way that you're saying.
Right.
You know
and
what I mean?
they tried to ransom him, and that's when they're like, oh, there's this
Baby Yoda.
It's got a huge M count. It looks like, it's obviously the offspring of Yoda and no, we're not saying obviously. We don't know that for sure.
Yeah, and then
rest in peace, Yaddle.
Right.
And at some point, this information gets to Moff Gideon, and it's like we're putting out everybody bounty to go get him, right?
Right.
So how all that connected? Why didn't they just go get him themselves? You got those dark troopers, man.
And I feel like
they haven't yet.
And I feel like this all has to link, even though I don't want it to link to the sequels. I feel like it all, like the Moff Gideon trying to get him and that old man in season 1 that had the bounty. I feel like this all ties back to Palps sitting on Exegol.
Yeah, I think we said in the last episode, if my kid, when he's, one of my youngest, when he was 3 years old, was actually into Star Wars. Yeah. Let's just say when he's 16 years old or 17 years old, and you have all this content done with the TV, with Mandalorian and
a couple of movies,
ahsokatano, and then the other shows that they actually make, a couple movies, and he watches them in chronological order, and he actually gets all the way to Rise of Skywalker. Would he still feel the way we did? Like, what the fuck just happened? Or would he be like, oh yeah,
that makes sense.
I could see how it all laid out.
Yeah.
No, he'd only feel that way about The Last Jedi.
That's it for housekeeping.
Okay.
But it's all good. We love getting that kind of feedback and catching us when we misspeak. So let's dive into the episode this time around now.
Let's do it. Okay. So how do we feel about this episode? Joey, go.
I loved this episode. I thought from the beginning to the end, there was action, there was storytelling, they were moving the story along. And I feel like Max kind of said it perfectly. Like in some shows, they like to just kind of like rinse and repeat. And I feel like this was not that. This was very much like, let's take the overarching story and like push it forward. I loved it.
Yeah.
Especially coming off the first episode too, which I thought was good. And again, in rewatching it, like I feel like the night we watched it and we did, the first kind of breakdown of it, I was a little bit hard on it, but I think that was, again, just after 2 years of waiting and then the episode comes out. Like, I wanted a banger like this. And again, I still stick to my guns. I think they should have released both of these episodes together. It would have just played really nicely. Yeah. But rewatching the first episode, it's good. This just has like speed and like adrenaline and action and it just had a little bit of everything. And I really liked that.
Right.
Yeah. And to your point, there was a lot of action and speed, but it didn't feel rushed for what it was 40 minutes.
Yeah.
They a lot happened, but the pace was great.
Yeah.
And like you said, I was actually worried after watching episode 1 that they were going to recycle that same story they used in season 1 and 2, where now he was going to go somewhere to get the part, and they were going to put him on another mission to go help, and you think. I thought that's what they were going to do, and they completely didn't do that. They just got another droid, which made total sense, right? Like, in terms of not recycling that same storyline.
Yeah,
and it, like you said, it moved it along. This show does such an amazing job in all the seasons so far in the aesthetics. The production value is always top notch.
It's incredible.
It's like you think you're watching a movie, but it's freaking television. They do such a great job of that.
It actually felt like a movie this time too, and I think it's because they weren't doing that typical like television show style.
Yes,
it actually felt kind of like. Wow, like it had like a movie vibe to it.
Yeah, a little bit more epic compared to the first episode. So I really enjoyed this episode.
Okay.
What about you, Robbie?
Well, this episode made me hate the other episode even more. And I'll tell you why. The biggest reason is IG-11.
Yeah.
Because so now you just took the middle chunk of the last episode and made that even more worthless.
Yeah.
So the whole reason why he goes there, right, is to get this droid because he trusts this droid, and so that way he can go spelunking. We find out that he need him to get like samples of Mandalore.
Mm-hmm.
So that all gets undone in the first 5 minutes of this episode. It was like, well, here's this falling apart droid that's obviously kind of like a chicken shit, but here you go, and you're gonna pay for it, right? So it made that whole other episode even more worth it, because like the tone is different, right? The tone in this one is darker. It's more serious. It's like you get to see a planet that this is the first time you get to see it that's in live action. Like you've heard about it, you've seen it in cartoons, but you've never seen it in live action. So it already has this whole wow feeling to begin with. But then now the pacing of it, the weird creature that we don't really know anything about, which I'm hoping, I'm sure something will come up from it on the internet. Somebody's going to find out and go, oh, this is really, so-and-so's head or something. Who the heck knows what's going to happen with that? But you get to see the relationship between Bokatan and Din Djarin through this, and you find out that she's not you get that sense that she's going to help him on whatever journey is about to happen between the both of them, because now he's bathed and it's done with, whatever the case is.
bathed and
he's done with.
And then some.
But like more things happen in this episode that you actually gave a crap about than the first episode, right?
Yeah, totally.
It was so weird that he needed to go get this droid to begin with, that it was blown apart, and somehow he felt like he had a bonding relationship with it.
Did Carl Weathers offer him a droid?
Yeah.
Right?
So he's like, there's many other droids. Like, no, but this one's my friend, right?
Yeah. He also doesn't trust droids. Remember that from season 1? I think that's why he wanted IG-11, is because he had this that weird bond with him.
But then even after you saw its reprogramming,
trying to kill baby,
trying to kill Grogu, but he still wants to go down this path of finding this other memory chip, right? It just made it more like, why did that episode even happen?
Yeah.
So
I could see that.
And so I don't even know if we even ranked the last episode, if we gave it a number, but whatever that number was, it just went down a point. At least 1 point because of this episode, because it made that episode kind of worthless. We got to see Carl Weathers in his new wardrobe, which advances every single season if you think about it. I saw a picture of what he was wearing in the first season, what he was wearing in the second season. Now he's got droids dragging his cape behind him.
I know, right?
In the third season.
He's in his full opulence.
Right? We got to see like a throwback of IG-11. We got to see what's the little guy's name again? I am like
the Babu Frick species.
Babu Frick species. I cannot
they said their name too, and I'm spacing on it. I think it starts with an A.
Actually, that was another thing that Bionic Piano Man brought up. That I thought when I looked up in the IMDb, they said Christopher Lloyd was in the episode, but it wasn't. I guess wasn't in there. Maybe it was just a
typo
glitch
or something. Glitch
in IMDb. They didn't clarify any of that. Yeah.
I mean, you got the beginning. I'm sorry, I'm still kind of ranting. Let me finish my rant. I'm almost
Go
done.
ahead, enjoy.
In the beginning of the last episode, you got that little reminder from the armorer what's going to happen, like why he's not with everyone. Because obviously, for the people that didn't get the chance to watch Boba Fett, here's this reminder: like, oh, he can't take his mask off, or he's got to redeem himself. By the way, we're not going to tell you how Grogu's with him, but anyways, I'm done. That's my gripe for it. So I like this episode, in case you couldn't tell.
Yeah.
So you wanted them to. They're assuming people who are watching this show are also consuming the others, Boba Fett and stuff like that. So
well, if they're assuming that, then that makes that the beginning part of the last episode even also worthless. If you're already assuming that, then that's worthless. Okay. Cool. So that's how I feel about it. So let's dive into this episode.
I think there's a lot to unpack in this episode too. Like even just going to the Bo and Din, like their relationship, like you could tell from in the last episode when we saw Bo, and in the very and how she responded when Grogu pulled up in the ship to ask for help. There was like, she has like this anger and this kind of like almost beef with Din. And then it wasn't really until she realized he needed help and it kind of changed the dynamic. Yeah. And now all of a sudden she's taking him to the waters and there's this thing. And so there's a lot of like character development for her and Din. And I thought that was a really cool aspect of this show. And again, I think all of this is kind of leaning and pointing to there's going to be this little core group that's going to have to fight this bigger adversary. I feel like they're kind of pointing everything in this direction already.
I'm actually glad you brought her up because, she's obviously depressed, and I think she's very conflicted since, that last episode where, Din ended up with the darksaber, right? Like, in terms of, she doesn't want to challenge him, but she's probably thinking, should I? It's a very conflicting thing. Like, she's destined to rule in her mind, and the only way in her mind for her to rule is to get this sword, right? And it's like, do I challenge him? And then he keeps coming back into my face and trying to bring me along with him to restore Mandalore or whatever what he's trying to do. She's not trying to have any of that, so she's very conflicted. But like you said, once she realizes Grogu's there by himself and he needs help, she kind of shakes off her depression, I'll call it at this point, and gets back into the mix. So her character is going through a lot.
Well, I think she's depressed because she thinks that she's not destined to rule.
Yeah, that's very hard.
She got a she mentions it in this episode. She had a small she had a small time of ruling. Yes. Obviously, look what happened under her watch. Okay, because I'm pretty sure the whole bombing thing happened under her watch. Correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah,
it did.
Well, she mentioned her father died, defending.
I think the dad died before that.
Oh, before?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So
Duchess Satine was ruling, I think.
That's her sister.
The older sister, yeah.
And so I'm pretty sure during the Purge, that's when she loses the darksaber.
Yeah, Order 66 time.
Yeah, that's when.
Yeah, so she already had her time ruling, and obviously this all these events happened under her watch, and then she had this, I guess, her own small rebellion that she was trying to put together, like a force to, get the darksaber back or whatever the case is, take back Mandalore. Like, I'm actually not entirely sure what she was going to use her forces for because there's nothing there. So I don't know what she's taking back. I mean, you could just walk down there and just start rebuilding, I guess. I don't really know. But she had a fleet.
Isn't it to unite the clans?
I guess for reuniting the clans. But she loses her fleet. She loses her followers. So she's sitting on her throne. There's nothing to rule. So she's depressed because maybe she's not going to be she wasn't destined to do it. And you see this guy who has the darksaber, has the opportunity to rule, Mandalore and bring the clans back together and doesn't want to do it at all. He wants to do his own path and she can't just take the saber from him.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of depression.
I mean, she could challenge him.
She could.
But she's conflicted.
Or she could just say, they could just have a small conversation with each other and go, look, just say I took you down so that way people will follow me.
She's too honorable.
You know what, though? So when he was walking into the water, so the whole time up until he walked into the waters, I feel like she, again, was kind of like,
I know what you're going to say.
She was kind of talking shit a little bit, right? About his whole, the Children of the Watch creed. But when he was walking into the waters, and they did this on purpose, he's reciting this, and it's this really epic, him reciting the creed, and she's almost watching him inspired.
Yeah, I saw that.
She was like this flame relit in her. And it's almost not like she's trying to keep her helmet on indefinitely, but I feel like there's something in his words of if we don't have all of our clans united. What do we have? Well, we have the creed. That's why he's doing this. And so maybe there's this light switch in her, this change of heart where, maybe he is destined. Maybe I'm not playing off exactly what you're saying. And maybe there's this realization that maybe Din is the one to unite clans together. Who knows?
But, if you think about it, right before that, she's telling him about that she did this, but it was more of a colloquial routine ceremony just for people to
see my dad throw the water and like bless her in the waters of It wasn't
really, she wasn't into it like that.
No.
But now she's witnessing somebody who is into it,
who didn't grow up in royalty on the planet. He grew up on the moon.
Yeah, it makes you rethink. I'm sure it would. That you see somebody who's really like this means something to them. When I did it, it was just to check a box.
It was a show.
It was a show
to put on for the people.
Totally.
Yeah. So that they did definitely show that.
Yeah.
Well done.
And then can we just talk about the mythosaur underwater real quick? I mean, are you kidding me right now?
Yeah. Are we there? Are we there yet? Yeah, well, go for it.
Just that was epic. I mean, talk about seeing that first time seeing something. Have we even seen that in? Yeah, no. I mean, that was.
I don't think so.
I don't either. I mean, maybe I'm
Bionic
spacing.
Piano Man can correct us later, but I'm pretty sure we haven't seen that before.
Definitely not live action, and I mean,
not that.
Definitely not.
What better way to give a nice story? Take that dark saber and go stick it right in its eye.
That's gonna be sick because back when the first rulers of Mandalore, I'm pretty sure the leaders they tamed the mythosaur and rode them like birds in the sky. And
oh man, it's like fucking
Avatar,
Game of Thrones.
Oh, Game of Thrones,
like everything.
But I like Avatar.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could be staging it for Din to do that. I mean,
I kind of feel like that's gonna maybe be a one-off. I don't think you're gonna see that thing again.
Maybe not. But I mean, to show that and then to not show that again. I mean,
well, it's full force, full glory.
Well, to show that and then end the episode after he's been bathed. I mean. I don't know. It's kind of fun now to actually have this conversation because you're kind of leading into it. What's going to happen next?
I was just going to say.
Because right now we've hit that point of doing all the things that he wanted to do.
So now what?
You went and you bathed. You're redeemed, apparently. Now you just got to go back and tell your mom, hey, I'm now a Mandalorian again. I bathed and, so now what? Do you just now you just kind of hang out with the young with
Can I go back to bountying?
Can I go back to bountying? Yeah. You guys need some help securing the cave from the giant alligator that's hanging out in front of your place? What's his next move? Or does he now help Bo-Katan because Bo-Katan just saved him twice, right? So now it's okay, you came to me.
Help her with what though?
I mean, reuniting the clans. What was the thing that she wanted him to do in the second season? Wasn't it take back Mandalore? Didn't she actually say that to him?
I thought that was a thing.
When she wanted help.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think she was trying to build her crew, but
But what for what? What was she building her crew for?
Well, because I think she knew Moff Gideon had the darksaber, and that's why when they boarded the ship, she goes, "Moff's mine. No one touched him." Because her whole plan was, cool, I've been doing all this, I've been building up. Now I'm gonna take the darksaber, and that would have been then her chance to reunite.
Okay, but now,
and so exactly now.
Yeah, because the first time, the episode where we first see her, her and Sasha Banks and the other guy who kind of disappeared.
Yeah,
they're commandeering those weapons and things for what? Isn't it part of this this taking back Mandalore from who? From what?
I don't know.
I think it's more not taking it back, but reuniting the clans maybe to them.
No, I get that
to build
a new Mandalore. Yeah, I guess to build a new society. So, what does he go campaign with her somewhere?
I don't know.
What's the next move? What's going to happen here?
They're going to have to bring in the big baddie.
And who's that big baddie?
Well, I think it has to be Thrawn. It has to be Thrawn.
Yeah,
it has to be Thrawn. It just does. And again,
Max is I don't know. Well, should I go along with you guys? Or should I take a different path in case we're wrong?
Well, you know what? But if we're wrong, we're wrong. But I almost find it hard to believe that Thrawn, it's not going to be Thrawn. Even if we don't see him in this season for whatever reason, or even if we don't see him till the end, how is it not going to be Thrawn with all this buildup that they've done?
I don't know.
And pointing right at him.
Yeah.
And also when they asked John in the interview, hey, is there going to be something like when you brought Luke back in this one? Are you going to break the internet? And he's like, well, that's always the goal. Yeah. You know, you're not going to break the internet unless you're doing something big here in this show.
Makes sense. No, all the theories, it's in line.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's definitely, like, episode 3 is definitely has to, I don't want to say pivot, but has to set the course for the rest of the season now.
Yeah.
Because I thought he wasn't going to bathe in that water for another 2 episodes or something.
Yeah,
I thought that too.
I figured we had to get a droid fixed before that was going to happen.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought that. But
memory
they got it out of the way. Yeah,
right?
memory chips
and shit.
Well, to get the memory chip, you got to go, kill this thing or whatever, or save this town, whatever it was. But they didn't do that. So they kind of, I don't want to say got the bathing out of the way, but they got it out of the way. Yeah. Now it's like you said, what direction are they going to?
I don't know. Joe, I got a question for you. So for the people that, if you're listening to this and you didn't watch Boba Fett, I don't know what to tell you. So in Boba Fett, second to last episode, you actually see Din Djarin go to basically visit Grogu with Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
And one of the things I was hoping was going to happen when he was there, because we just saw an episode where he was having difficulty controlling the darksaber, was maybe he was going to ask Luke for some training on how to use a lightsaber. Yeah. Right? So that obviously did not happen. But now you just saw how Bo-Katan uses the lightsaber or uses the darksaber effortlessly, and she's pretty badass. She's had it before. She has experience with it. So I'm wondering, since you pointed out that she looks at him in this way, like, maybe he's the one that could, bring everybody together. Maybe she gets behind him. Maybe she becomes his campaign manager, and she kind of boosts him to everybody else. Like, hey, let's follow this guy because he's good at heart. He believes in the creed, blah, blah, whatever. Does she train him how to use the darksaber? Maybe she goes, I don't want the darksaber anymore, but let me show you how to use it. Because she uses it, and then, she saves him. He's passed out, right? He wakes up, and he grabs his gear. He grabs the darksaber right in front of her. It's not like you don't even get this whole pause of maybe I shouldn't be grabbing that thing.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to have to ask her because she didn't witness him struggle with it when she was fighting those Morlocks right there.
I wouldn't be surprised if she just says it to him. Are you having difficulty with the darksaber?
They touched on it, and I'm completely spacing, but when he was saying, when in the previous season, when he was having trouble swinging it, he was told what he needed to do.
Let go or trust in it? Or
there was something like that.
Listen to it.
It was something, and I'm completely spacing on what that is, but obviously Bo was swinging it like it was nothing. Yeah. So I could totally 100% see her giving him some sort of training, and not even just in that, but her family was royalty. So, she could teach him and train him on a ton of things.
Yeah. Or how they get there.
How did Bo-Katan get the darksaber? Do you remember?
Mm-mm.
Didn't Sabine give it to her?
Oh, and Rebels.
Right?
Yeah.
And who trained her? Who trained her how to use it?
Sabine?
Yeah, who trained her how to use it?
I don't remember.
Ezra trained Sabine how to use the darksaber. Right? He gave her lightsaber lessons.
Okay.
So maybe he bumps into Sabine a couple episodes from now, and she trains him how to use it. I don't know. There's many ways to do it. He can't just be running around with this thing and not using it properly. At some point, because it was painful watching him in the last episode of Boba Fett try to use that thing.
Dude, even in this one.
In this one, it was painful. It's been painful every single time he's tried to use that thing. In when he accidentally cuts himself with it, he burns himself in the leg.
Yeah.
He's got to learn how to use that thing at some point or give it to somebody else because it's such a badass weapon and it's just sitting there. It's being wasted.
Yeah, for sure.
That's one thing. I guess that's one thing you want to see before the end of the season, that he gets some kind of training on that. Whether he sees her use it and he's like, hey, I need to, you need to show me.
Hey, what you doing over there? What's
somebody sees him using it. It's like, dude, you're butchering it with this thing.
Well,
Let me show you how to really use
this I feel like it has to be destined to go to, right?
What?
It's got to go to Grogu.
The darksaber's going to go to Grogu? That's a little big for him.
Well, maybe some variation of it, something. Because again, going back to the first...
What that kid's going to get is a helmet, and that's going to suck.
But you know what? Going back to our first talk of
maybe not.
Why did you even bring him back? You know, they ended it so beautifully, and they did, well, of course, money, but they can take it to this whole Jedi Mandalorian thing, which is how the Darksaber was created.
Right. No, I get that. I get that.
Mandalorian Jedi. And now in the show, you're having Din like train him in the cockpit.
Yeah,
to be a Mandalorian, you have to be this. So, I mean, he's being taught to be a Mandalorian now after 2 years of Jedi training. And he is for
it was a year to 2 years. We don't know
whatever.
The exact
John said
math.
two.
And who said he has to get a helmet? Because first of all,
if he's hanging out with Dinjarin,
he's been taking his helmet off every chance he can get in these 2 seasons, right?
No, he hasn't.
And he's taking it off like 3-4
Not
times
every
already.
chance
Not after
He's never taking it, right? But hold on,
he's only taking it off one time willingly. The other time he was, one time he was dying. He was showed up to a robot. The other one was he was forced for him to do that. Like he wasn't going to be able to find his kid unless he did. Had a whole
conversation over drinks with it off, and then he showed Grogu. But to continue on my point, he has taken it off. He's kind of for reasons.
But this bathing thing sucks.
They're hanging around Bokatan now, who's been preaching you don't always have to have it on. What maybe Grogu goes in between and realizes, hey, and maybe Din kind of laxes on that whole thing of you have to have your helmet on. And he doesn't have to.
He's a gray Mandalorian.
He's an orthodox Mandalorian is what Din is.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what he is. Right? There's a way you can get away from him having to wear a helmet.
I'm pretty bummed that he's still wearing that thing. I really am. I'm pretty bummed.
The helmet?
Yeah, I'm bummed Dinjarin's wearing the helmet. I'm bummed that they went through this whole path for him to go bathe in the waters of whateverness, and then now he's still gonna keep this helmet on. Like you know, there's other paths you can walk. Why wouldn't you want to show your face to your kid? Like it's
he saw it once. Whatever.
He saw it once. Trust me.
This
will not be the last time.
I want to see the helmet this kid's gonna wear.
I don't think it's coming off now.
I guarantee it'll be off this season again.
After the
bath, he will take that down. They will find a way to write in for people to remember that's pedropascal under there.
Oh yeah, okay? Especially now that he's a big star. Like when he became the Mandalorian, he wasn't a big star. Now he's a big star. That dude, like it's
Hey, there were rumors he was barely on set during the filming of all this, so I don't think you're seeing him without the helmet.
I'm telling you right now, Disney at some point, maybe it's the end of the season, or maybe it's the beginning. I don't know. At some point, Disney's going to work a deal out with him. It's like, all right, you got to take your helmet off now. It's got to happen. I mean, it's got to.
All right, I'm gonna say my vote right now.
Yeah,
until the end this season, we're not seeing him without his helmet.
He's good. I'm telling you, they find a clever way to write it in every season. They're gonna find another way to write it in.
I think you're right because I don't know. Like I feel weird even saying this, but the body type person who's actually in that suit right now is not the same person.
No.
This dude's a little. I feel like this guy's a little shorter
and a little more buff.
He's a little stouter.
Yeah, he's
he fills it out.
I don't think he's buffer. I think he's like.
Oh no, he looks like
he's got a belly.
Filled it out.
I think Dinjarin's been eating some,
some frogs.
Some frogs. Yeah, I don't know. Like it doesn't seem like the same body type. So I think you're right. He probably wasn't on set. He was too busy with The Last of Us to even show up and do anything right now.
Yeah, he's becoming a more and more busy man.
Well, I'm stoked. I think this was a really good episode. I think it's leading to just bigger and greater things too.
It's. I think it's full speculation now. At least from I don't know where it's going to go.
It's all speculation at this point.
I mean,
speaking of speculations, that spider droid down there. Yeah. Any idea what that is? Is it just a throw-in character, or is there more behind that? From your knowledge of Star Wars, Joey.
So I've never seen that character before. The first thing that came into... So when it was part of the big creature, I had no idea. But when the smaller spider came out of the bigger spider, it reminded me of the little...
Oh.
Huh?
I think you were going to say General Grievous, but go ahead.
No, well...
It reminded me of Grievous when I first saw it.
When he stood up, and he had all the arms. But when you just saw kind of the eye inside of this mechanical being, it reminded me of the little... spider creatures that were in Boba Fett, and they were like monks that they realized they could have a higher level of consciousness if they remove themselves from their human form, and so they put their brains basically into like this spider droid, and it reminded me of those creatures. I don't think that was it. But then the eye reminded me of this other creature. My daughter has this book called Where's the Wookiee?
Yeah.
And you can find all these different like Star Wars creatures. Yeah. And there's one called like Psyched Ock. And it looks just like that eye. But total,
and what was he getting? Like blood, plasma? What was the purpose of that? Anything in the Star Wars lore about taking blood or,
not to my
droid?
Not to my knowledge, nothing specific of that. That was some weird. That was like some weird Saw stuff going on right there.
Yeah, I like that. Hopefully they close that little that
they button
out.
That up a little bit.
Because Bo-Katan kind of buttoned up the I call them Morlocks from H.G. Wells' Time Machine. Those green-eyed, ape-looking.
Yeah, they were creepy-looking.
Yeah,
too.
I thought they were going to go the route. It's definitely inspired by Morlocks, right? That
sounds like it.
They live underground after in the book. I think it's the moon collapsed on Earth thousands of years later. They're nocturnal. So, but she kind of said they were around even when Mandalorian was in its prime.
Yeah.
They were in the outskirts, and now they're just surviving underground with their green eyes and all.
But she even said, and I don't know if her saying this was leading up to the mythosaur, but she was like, well, if they survived, what other creatures survived?
That's good. Good point.
And I feel like, all these little things are kind of like leading,
Yeah. There's definitely more going on down there.
So here's the thing. If Din, talk about uniting clans, if he has the Darksaber and can tame the mythosaur, boom, Mandalore, there you go. Done deal. Or total speculation, but done deal.
Maybe we're looking at it the wrong way. Maybe it's not Din or Bo-Katan. Or it's Grogu.
Maybe
Grogu who ends up leading you. Who brought up that he's gonna get the Darksaber?
Joey did.
Joey,
yeah,
he's gonna use the Force to help him carry it.
Well, and it's not like it's gonna happen right away, but if this goes on for several seasons, like they're making it seem like it's going to, maybe it's not the exact Darksaber, the big one, but a variation of it, or I don't know if there's like a crystal in it. I actually don't know that. Do you know, Robbie? There
has to be a Kypler.
Crystal?
There has to be.
Yeah. So what if he takes the Kypler crystal and makes his own?
The armor makes his own thing.
Something.
And he's the one that unites the clans and rules.
Yeah.
Because there's a third player in here.
Jedi Mandalorian. Come on, that would be legit.
Yeah.
Back to the first
set up
one.
A pool, right? Yeah. Back to the
original, which I think is Tar Vizsla. Biana Piano Man might have to fact check me on that, but I think it's Tar Vizsla, like the very first Jedi Mandalorian, thousands of years ago.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
What do you got over there?
I was doing
something over there.
Well, if anybody saw any Easter eggs, I got this one thing. So R5D4 was also called Red. So this person online, I'm reading this article, and all it says is by Ashley. I don't even know, why would they have the last name on here? I'm kind of trying to figure out if it says it anywhere else. But she says that that is the droid that you see in A New Hope,
dude.
And apparently that droid is known for actually joining the rebellion. So it does fight the rebellion. So yep,
dude, that's cool. Yeah. That's a big Easter egg, man. That's cool.
Her other theory is, well, it's not a theory. She just says that this creature, so the one-eyed creature, she says it looks familiar. It looks similar to a Dianoga, which is the creature. I don't think I'm pronouncing it right, but it's the creature that you see on the Death Star in the trash compactor.
Oh, okay.
That pops up.
Yeah, the eye that pops around.
I didn't see that, because that thing is like a
long neck and all.
If you think about it, maybe this is. I don't think it's at all. But maybe it's actually part of General Grievous's, because maybe they saved his brain somehow. I don't know, because they got shot in the heart a couple times by Obi-Wan. Yeah. Maybe it's been floating around somewhere. I don't know. That would have been cool if that creature was something that we knew, and we're just totally trying to grasp something. Because we wanted some.
Hopefully they close off that.
It's
that
not.
End.
Yeah.
Well, because the eye.
Don't come at me for saying it is.
The eye in A New Hope was a little bit more friendly. It didn't seem super evil, whereas this eye was evil. It was menacing.
It's been through some shit, man. It was on a Death Star that blew up.
True.
Maybe it's not.
Yeah, it's done.
We don't know.
Then it should be on the moon of Endor, not on Mandalore.
Floated in the galaxy, far, far away. Who knows? All right. We have anything else for this episode? Because where we want it to go. I mean, we kind of hit on all that stuff.
Because I feel like it's theories. Like I'm surprised, kind of like you were saying that this in episode 2, they kind of gave you everything they were preparing you for in like all the teasers and trailers, and the only scene that it comes up in my head that they're gonna have to touch on is the Order 66 flashbacks. Which I can't wait for.
You're right. I haven't gone back and looked at any of the trailers, but I'm trying to think of something else that popped in the trailer.
From the trailers,
like that was in the first 2 seasons, the first 2 episodes.
Yeah. Now it's all fresh territory now.
Good. I like that.
I think episode 3 has potential to, what do they call it? Break the internet.
And you know what?
Start on a path to break the internet.
And they've hid shit in both seasons, and they've done really well at hiding. Like they had to hide, baby Grogu's character all the way up until they released him through everything.
Hid Luke Skywalker.
They were calling him Plo Koon, making it seem like they were going to bring back Plo Koon, not Luke. Right. So then people saw it. So now they're only giving people snips of episode 1 and 2.
You want to know what else is crazy? IMDb. You look at any of the episodes. The only billed actors on any episode so far is Pedro Pascal and Carl Weathers. Like even this episode hasn't been filled in yet.
I know. I tried looking also.
Right. So they're definitely keeping things tight to the vest.
Yeah, because who did they cast as Thrawn?
Or and any other surprise characters that they might have seen. Like I think next episode we might see something to definitely set the course for the episode.
Yeah.
For the season, I mean.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Because where else can they possibly go?
I don't
know. He's done being bathed or sinking or whatever you want to call that.
Oh, I hate waiting.
Yeah,
I hate waiting, man.
Robbie makes me do this. I'm telling you, I'm a binge guy.
I couldn't wait to binge though either. You know what I mean? Like it's I'm damned if I do and I'm damned if I don't. There's no possible way I'd be able to wait 8 weeks.
Just stay off the internet.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, it's all good.
This was fun. This was a good episode, and this was a good one.
Yeah.
Got anything else?
No, I think we're good to wrap right now. Because I'm falling asleep. We got to do this. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I still got to edit this and upload it.
Damn.
All right. But yeah, this is a great episode. I had a lot of fun watching it. A lot of fun talking with you guys about it. Thanks to everybody that listens. Please send us some more thoughts. What you thought of this episode. If there's anything that we missed, anything that we got wrong, where you think it's going to go. Speculate. Let's get some feedback coming in. We'll do another episode if enough stuff comes in to kind of like touch on people's comments, and we'll kind of go from there. I love the speculating on where it's going to go. Like the fan theories are great. I love that. Especially now we're going into new territory where we really don't know what's going to happen. So I would love to hear what people's theories are.
For sure.
But yeah, we are the ExStreamists.
Yes,
don't forget to follow us. Check out our Twitter. Go check out that Patreon page. Check out our other episode of our other show we're doing, The Last of Us. It's winding down. We just by the time you're listening to this, there should be another episode that was uploaded. Also, go check out our other show called Still Holds Up, where we talk about old movies. Cool. Figure out if we like, if they still, the scores still hold up, if they're worth showing our kids, showing people that we like, we love, yada yada yada. We have a new show that's going to air probably next week. I know I keep teasing about it, that we're going to talk about it, but it's still in the works. We're still trying to get some schedules lined up. And once that's lined up, we'll be good to go. But yep, we're the ExStreamists. Thank you so much. We'll catch you next time.
Peace. Music composed by Kyle Torme. Additional bed music by Jason Zaffrey. Thanks for listening to this episode of the ExStreamists coverage of The Mandalorian. Subscribe to the ExStreamists podcast feed at rogerbrainmedia.com/The ExStreamists. Subscribe to Roger Brain Media feed at rogerbrainmedia.com and support Roger Brain Media by visiting patreon.com/rogerbrainmedia.